Evidence Does Matter video. First time calling daughter ugly. Ugly. I have vitamin, my routine, which is the vitamin D. I'm going to drink this before I do my video. So I'm going to expose politics, actually, so that true Christians and true religious people are actually all going to be persecuted as a result. Because all politics has signed a contract of agreement with the devil. And there are people out there that claim that they can do the Exorcist, and they haven't been allocated by God or dedicated by God to do an Exorcist. Actually, I wouldn't want to do an Exorcist either, because it's God's job, unless God tells me. So, this video, I'm going to turn my attention to the Bible and the pictures at the same time, exposing the example using my daughter and the systems of abuse, what they have done, and what they have managed to achieve through there's 3 tooths. I call them tooths, teeths, 3 teeths, 3 T's, 3. I think the book of Daniel also exposes them as the little horn. So 3 tooths is the example of my daughter why she's ugly, because she loves the system. She loves the devil more than her mum and God Almighty. So, first time in my life, I have never imagined I would call my daughter ugly. I have never imagined ever disliking my daughter as a result of her choice. She's old enough to have a conscience. She's old enough to know the difference between good and evil. She's old enough to make a decision and to do what is regarded as right. But her decisions, her choices is paramount, which has turned her into some type of a god and goddess. So she needs an exorcism. And if it was God's will for me to perform an exorcism on her, I would. And I have done before in the past. But it's only if God wills, and it's only if she was mine under my roof. But she's no longer mine. She's been stolen from me, and now they're saying that the photographs that I have, I'm actually a thief. But I'm saying I'm destroying these photographs. I'm using blue tack. I'm using something to puncture the hole in her face to say these pictures and these albums mean nothing. But then in the future they may mean something. So I have a double copy of my photographs album, one in the box and the other one in an album. So I'm in God's hand. I believe my daughter is in God's hands with Jesus' help. But sometimes the government is so evil they would kill a child's soul and body to possess and obsess a child in the education system, which is part of the globalist empire movement. Tooth number 1. Globalist empire movement. I repeated that. 2, second tooth is, I believe that September 11th was paid and purchased by Israeli government, along with the Zionists in Saudi Arabia, who are false Zionists. And number 3, Sky News has also been purchased by the far-left government, including Israel. So these three teeth of the dragon, or the little horn, so they're ugly. They're a devil. So you have the UK government, the USA police that kills people with out of free will. They have freedom to kill people. And you have the world spy coming from Israel. So Israel owns these three countries. It owns England, the English Empire. Israel owns America. And Israel also owns Australia and all the white supremacists. Most of Europe it owns. So Europe has been split in many different parts politically. And the particular government in the far right has provided extra protection to blonde hair and blue eyes, and those who are so-called the most vulnerable up north, such as Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, and all those up north, because they allow this evil system, which is 666, mark of the beast, to be implemented with a chip in Sweden. So they actually have a chip inside their skin, and no one can purchase any food or have any employment without the chip. So you're tracked and traced with a chip. And it's using Sweden as an experimental country to try this. It's a trial and error thing, where the global government controls a country's economy and growth, even growth of development of children. So it's demonic. It's no longer civilized. It's tyrannical. And where the main Antichrist is coming from is Israel. So because of what Israel and Zion in Saudi Arabia have done with money and politics to achieve September 11, in other words, to control America, there's no birds. I noticed there's no birds. I didn't see a single bird flying in the sky when somebody did a tour of Israel, the local towns and villages and places, and even seaside. I could hear the birds hiding in the trees and in the shrubs, but I couldn't see any fly. So that means they've put something in the sky, or they're using some type of satellite or some type of surveillance on Israel. And so they're the worst hypocrites when it comes to Israel being the most evil political body, deceiving everybody to believe that they are Jews when in fact they are European half-caste scum of society. The reason why, I'm saying not the devout, I'm not saying the devout people, I'm saying the government itself is actually secretly it's an owner of the globalist movement and the Antichrist, which is part of the 666. President Donald Trump is also part of 666. Vladimir Putin of USSR, Russia, is part of 666. The Chinese yellow yin is part of 666. So they're all in it together, but they want to split the world in half because China and Russia has a separate demonic entity. It has a separate curse and condemnation on the world. So since when has a human become a god? Since when? And the answer is, since they have made these systems of abuse, promoted these systems of abuse, and protected these systems of abuse by politics and corruption in the government. There's no such thing as a government anymore. They're a devil. I'm not being fanatical. I'm not being anti-government entirely, because I'm sure there's government, and I'm sure there's police, and I'm sure there's children's social services that actually are doing what is regarded as right. but very few of them, the minority of them, actually doing what is regarded as right. Most of them, sadly, are a lump of lard, fat, scum, soot, something disgusting, poop in my toilet, ugly, because it's a demon. How did this corruption in the government September 11 hide the fact that Israeli government has purchased it, and also other places around the globe, through Arabs? So Arabs and Israeli have something to do with September 11, but more so Israeli government. Then so that's why I call it the most evil country in the world. Well, I hope and pray that in future God will make it the most holy place in the world. In the future, when there is a new planet Earth, and where evil is destroyed forever, there's no more evil in the world. In the future, new planet Earth, a new human body that God will create, promised through the Messiah, who is Jesus Christ. But these, however, encircle and protect false Christians and false religious thugs that are economically established, and they're protected, and they're using fraud money, where they get to trace things. So it's fake money. What do you call it when you're copied? Fraudulent. When information is copied or handwriting is copied. So it's like, and they're also using artificial intelligence to persecute everybody through the globalist society. So since when have they become gods? Actually, the very power and the very things that they have that is supposed to be sacred, is supposed to be for God's people who have suffered injustice in the name of Jesus Christ, not for those people who have suffered injustice in the name of the devil. And people cannot tell the difference between those who have suffered injustice in the name of God compared to people who have suffered injustice in the name of the devil. People cannot tell the difference, and that bothers me. So it's my first time calling my daughter ugly. It's Sunday today, and I think it's what date is it? It's 3 p.m, 26th of March. Her birthday was the 24th of March, 2023. And so it's as if I've never given birth to her, as if I'm not her mum. The main reason why I'm calling her ugly is that in our last telephone talk, which has a video on YouTube, on my channel, both of my channels, no, one channel, it has a thumbnail photo, so people can follow that, of a cupcake, rainbow colour, where I'm talking on the telephone with my daughter for contact, and the last contact, I think it was on the 8th of December 2021, and quote, she accused me of saying that, this is the devil speaking through my daughter, that I wished I had an abortion, which is something completely the opposite of who I am and what I am. And what I should be credited for, I'm discredited for actually giving birth to her. So she is actually saying that she's suicidal, she's losing her soul to the devil. She's losing her soul. She doesn't have her mum, she doesn't have God anymore. It's not her anymore. It's unrecognizable. So what the system has done is says she has to worship money, she has to worship sex, and humans have to worship her. These three thieves. That she's a human goddess through money, evil sex. That means unholy sex. Does she need my consent? Does she need my blessing? Yes, she does. I'm still her mum. She needs my consent, my permission, not through a marriage arrangement, no. But my consent to say this is a blessing or this is not a blessing is the opposite of a blessing. So she does need my consent to see, do I approve? But I would not arrange marriage for my daughter. I would just say I approve or I not approve. Currently she's dating an Indian boyfriend of 2 to 3 years. And she said she doesn't care if she has casual sex. It doesn't matter. If she's not looking to have children, which is immature and which is witchcraft, because we believe that when we have sex we are preparing to have children. And if I cannot have children, I would adopt children. That's the holy couple versus an unholy couple. So it's witchcraft that has been indoctrinated through the education system and through my ex-mother-in-law, who is an atheist. Now, the far-right government is a monstrosity, extremist, as much as the far-left government is. It's a tyrannical victim in the far-left, and in the far-right, it's a tyrannical oppressor. It is a tyrant, blatant bully, whereas the far-left is a subtle bully. So anything or anyone that has been politicized, I have said Israel is the world spy through technology. America is the world police and army through NATO. And UK, England is the globalist, which is going to create the future's Antichrist via Israel. So whenever you step your foot on that land, the land itself is cursed. Not the people. Maybe half of the people, maybe quarter of the people could be holy. I'm talking about the actual land, and the sky is cursed by God. Because of the astrologies. I can't say the word. Sorry, people who are listening to me. I'm not very fluent in English. I have never in my mind or heart contemplated it has never I lose words. I would say that my daughter is a piece of poo that's going to come out of my stomach, from my intestines to my colon and out of my anal into my toilet. That's how I see my daughter now. That's how I see my mum and dad in hell. Demons, demon possessed. They're actually possessed by demons because of the government and because of their own stupid choices that they have made to worship themselves and have other people worship them, worship evil sex and worship evil money. Someone who I loved, someone who I enabled to remove curses and condemnations, I cured with God's help, who had supported me to cure my daughter from all types of sicknesses, curses and condemnations in her life, even the things that God has hidden from me. And then God Almighty had told me that in the future, according to the Bible, where her spirit is inscripted and where all persecuted Christian spirit is inscripted, that are not loyal to God and Jesus Christ, give her more freedom. God told me, you'll see that she'll turn against you when she has your freedom. It's her choice. Give her more freedom. It's her choice to choose between what's good and evil. Now that she's old enough, age 18, she has chosen that. both my daughter and I had read that part of the Bible, and both of us said to each other, "That's not true. You know, Mum, I love you," she said, "and why is the Bible talking like that?" So God actually put my daughter to the... God did... No, God had warned me to put my daughter to the test. I was the parent, as a mum, to discipline her, to say, "What will you do?" I told her the witch and the wizard is coming to take you away from me. I know, I feel it. The Bible warned me. God told me 1 year ago, the year before you were taken out of my home, God warned me that you were going to be separated from me. So get ready and see if you'll stay loyal. So she knew. Emotional trauma on children can devastate children so much through fear that they would accept the demon, or they would accept indoctrination. They would even give Hitler a kiss. The children would give Hitler a kiss, the Nazi, or any other tyrant. It doesn't have to be Hitler. They would give them a kiss and trust and obey the devil, and put the entire system is putting our children into the devil's mouth. So I pray that somehow she will be snatched out of the devil's mouth. I don't know how. Only God knows. So that's my introduction on what I believe when it comes to politics. If I had to choose in the case of World War III, it would be the far-right government, but not in connection to Melania, Donald Trump, or anybody else in the far-right government, which includes True News and all of them who are saying anything extremist. Because you cannot say that Israel itself is a tyrannical victim when you cannot say that Muslims are not a tyrannical victim and Islam is not a tyrant, but they're both tyrannical victims, both of them. That's my point. Only support them victims that God has allocated to you, not politics. So, I'm now back to photography. Here I have, look, footprints of this evil man who had been parking in my car park because I didn't have a car. That's now had evaporated. And there was footprints there, and it gave me the creeps. And he, the one who believes in eugenics and all this, he's now saying that he too is a Christian or something like that. Nonsense. Dear. So this video is really a warning to say, be careful who you support. And I think even in my case, now that I am claiming state benefits, that money has something to do with politics. Obviously, it's a leftover from their weapons of massive destruction, and God has protected and covered me from that. So that anyone who is paying their taxes to a satanic government needs to pray that God, the blood of Jesus, covers them and protects them from that oppressive spirit, to say, where is the money coming from, and what is the money being used for? It's extremely dangerous. I mean, so dangerous that God Almighty has warned somebody in the Bible who was executed by God for stealing somebody else's money. So that's a warning. I don't know where in the Bible, but who it was in connection to, I don't remember. But there is a true encounter where God has immediately, in the New Testament, not the Old Testament, it was executed as a result of stealing somebody else's money. And he said, this is for God, this is for God's people, it's not for you. So they've stolen my money. I could be having a compensation for human rights abuses by now. It's stolen my money, it's stolen my evidence, it's stolen my children, it's stolen my land. It's stolen, it thinks it's stolen my vagina. It has stolen my breasts and accused me of being a whore by the very whores. It has cut off my breasts. It has cut off my vagina. It has butchered my children and totally slaughtered me by using the internet. Even my bank. So that's the power versus the principle of freedom, where no one is free using the internet. They're being put straight into the devil's mouth. And it's even stolen the Bible. The devil knows the Bible. It's claiming to know the Bible more than God. It's making itself equal to God. And even saying that we have to put up, everyone has to put up with this persecution now. It's devastating. I think it's definitely in the book of Daniel where it says we have to, for a time when this power takes place, accept that the devil has made itself equal to God. It's now calling itself a god and goddess. Ghostbusters. Evil electricity. Dear. It says in the Bible that we'll all die like rats, like rodents. So they're saying that if you don't bow to President Donald Trump, if you don't bow to Putin, if you don't bow to Ching, or whatever his name is, Ching Chung in China, these globalists, you must bow down to them. You must fear them more than God. Because they are gods. And the same for my daughter. She's now become an assassin. It's ugly. Evil electricity there. And they're so ugly. They've even resurrected my ex-husband from the dead by saying that my daughter must love a dead man more than a living a dead dad more than a living mum. So this is the time where my daughter is with her umbrella. And I have blue tack here. So I don't have to see her ugly face anymore. So my daughter's become my enemy. The government wants me to hate my breasts, hate my vagina, because they've stolen my medical records and x-rays and everything. They want me to hate myself. They want me to hate the money that I'm getting. They want me to hate my life because I'm not voting for a government. And it has to be imposed on all of us to vote for a government. And then we're all having a sick society because we all have to pay our taxes. And those that pay their taxes have to vote for the government automatically. That's the 666. That's the new empire through the globalist movement. So we did also have rodents, and I used to put them in a newspaper and sell them. Little hamsters, and we used to sell them. My daughter enjoyed taking care of them. They were in an exhibition too, and we took them to an exhibition, and they would just eat chicken the same as a piranha. Literally within 3 days, it was only bones left. And so I'm in distress doing this video to come to acknowledge these three tooth. I pray that they become toothless. I pray God knocks the tooth out of these evil dragons' mouths. And this is going to repeat. History is going to repeat itself until they come to perfection as tyrants. At the moment, they're not a global government, But in the future, they will eventually have that tooth regrown. And the devil that has been hit over the head, or it says in the book of Revelation, its wound will be recovered. So there will be a war, according to the Holy Bible books, but the original leader and the original tyrant will be injured and then cured. So it's a cycle that they will keep coming back until the end of time, until they perfect their globalist movement. It's the same as poo going through its intestines and colon and down through my bumhole. We took a picture of a pond which had frogs in it. My daughter and I had a Xenopus frog, and we call him Zed. We also enjoyed head, shoulders, knees and toes exercises. She had a drink every morning, and we cannot call it a bib, we cannot call it a serviette. What can we call it? A napkin? So she is in the snow there, all dressed up. Her age was 6 or 7 there. So I'm in distress, really am. She's eating a cake here. So they say that I'm boasting. They say all evidence is evil because you cannot be successful with evidence. All evidence is evil because it has to be connected to a lawyer, to a solicitor, to politics, and to the government in order to reclaim your justice. But I'm saying real justice is given to me by God, by truth, by the Spirit of truth. And love covers multitudes of sins. So that's what I'm saying in opposition to law. But I'm saying also court, that God's court in heaven is what gives me my beauty sleep, a clear conscience, versus their courts, which is full of corruption, lies, bribery, money, and evil sex, drugs, and whatever else they have there to call themselves gods. Food. So they're in control of our food, saying, no, you don't touch this. It belongs to somebody else. So they're destroying farmers. They're saying the land, even though they purchased it, it still belongs to the government. So that's how they're looking at all the details of our persecution and see how they can increase our persecutions and how they can make a new crisis. My daughter have taken her on coach trips to the seaside. It's the only seaside that we knew of that was close enough to us to travel by coach, that was sandy. She had eaten off the chocolate at Easter. It was a chocolate duck. She's enjoying the garden over here. So the questions I have while I'm doing these pictures, on 34 minutes into it, obviously making my voice clear what I am against. So I'm against the majority government that is godless, and that doesn't give me my freedom of religion. If they gave me a freedom of religion and freedom of speech, then I would vote for that government. But there is no such thing. The minority of the government itself is persecuted that does what is regarded as right, and they're all mixed. They're all forced to be mixed together, like these two mating tortoises. They're all forced to be in it together, which is Dotty. It's Dotty. You say, "Oh, I've Tipexed you." In other words, you're my ex. But it always seems to somehow come back to bug you. So God will Tipex them and make sure that God bugs them in one way or the other. I'm sure of that. So they're a horror. They've made horrors of wars. It's cold, cruel, and calculating. Anything that's been done for God's glory, the devil wants to come destroy for its own glory. That's why God says, fear God, don't fear anybody else. So I've made some questions here for the photos. I want to be on here for about an hour if I can. I have questions regarding the government. Describe my memory of major world events that has happened in my lifetime. So I mentioned September 11. The Twin Towers for Money Market in America was hit by hijacked planes, suicide bombers that looked like it was Islam, but in fact it was purchased by Israel. False prophets and a false religion. Score result in America. The richest country has become the poorest country. By who? Now, is Israel dominating Australia now or somewhere else? Right, so another question. So I've covered that in this video so far. Looking at the next question. What are your few favourite things? So she liked olives, pitted black olives, tortilla. She liked soft cheese spread. She liked playing with pets. She liked the garden, which was open to the public. She liked to lie down on a bouncy castle or some type of a water bed. She liked swimming outside or having a warm bath with the window open at summer. She enjoyed painting nails, and this is supposed to be a sodomite curse from Sodom and Gomorrah, which is the city of hell, when you put makeup on. So those that have an advanced relationship with God are allowed to put makeup on and wear Halloween costumes and things of that to betray the betrayers and destroy the destroyers. Those are an advanced relationship with God. Not those who are the basic and intermediate. That means they're not completely covered by the blood of Jesus yet. They don't know the truth. I didn't know the truth. I guessed I knew the truth until my daughter was taken away from me. 10 years absence and dishonesty and lack of integrity. 10 years of injustice, of being separated from my daughter. Only then, in that period of time, 10 years from the beginning to the end, now that she's 18, only then God revealed it to me in the Bible. what abuse and who the real abuser is. It was her dad, maternal dad, biological dad, who actually abused my daughter and neglected her child needs. So that's next picture now. Cannot use this. Let's put this blue Play-Doh. So some pictures I'll have Play-Doh on. Other pictures it would be pierced. Like I say, everything in the box is a copy. I also have another copy in an album which is untouched, which is a copy. And here she is playing in the park again. She enjoyed it. That was her favourite memory. But she was very friendly. She was very caring. And she was happy because she received my love and my attention. She had her confidence because she received my love and my attention. She had peace and happiness because she had my love and my attention. And God's love and attention because Jesus loves the little children. It was the first time she saw a black person on a bouncy castle. Black child. So I think the happiest memory of my daughter in her childhood was her flower press. She enjoyed flowers so much, and sniffing the perfumes of flowers, and making flower necklaces and bracelets like daisy chains. She loved real flowers, and I think that was the happiest time of her life, that we did make perfume. We enjoyed the colours of flowers and nature. We went to the farm to pick your own fruit and vegetables. Her most unhappiest was being the last to be heard and last to be seen. So whenever she was ignored, if I didn't give her the equal amount of dip or cream or sauce, if it wasn't equal enough, she wanted to have exactly the same as me, even though I'm as an adult. I need a little bit bigger. She would always want to have equals the same. And so that's where her monstrosity came out. Her witchy bitchy personality came. But adults and children are not supposed to have the same thing. So she demanded that if she didn't get what she wanted, she would get very stroppy and demand that she gets what she wants immediately. Otherwise, she becomes hot-tempered. So that was the unhappiest memory of her growth and development, and she has it today. It's actually gotten worse. She was extremely demanding and impatient, and I supported her to be more patient and more considerate and see the difference between an adult and a child, that our needs are not the same. I did my best to explain, but she didn't seem to understand. She wanted the same, exactly the same. She also had secrets and would lie to me, which made her unhappy, it made me unhappy. She wouldn't tell me the truth. She would say that she was asleep, but when I noticed she was sneaking in and looking at the foxes outside at night, and I told her to turn off the torch, turn off the big light, keep on the little dim light. We always had a dim light in her bedroom, which was a very gentle light. But I said, keep off the big light off, the torch off, unless it's an emergency, if you've hurt yourself. But she would lie to me sneakily, and she would go and look at the foxes outside. When it was past midnight, it was past sometime 1 and 2 in the morning. I would check on her every time I'd gone to the toilet. And I would pretend that I wasn't checking on her. I would just be acting as if I didn't go and see her, that I did it so quietly. She wouldn't know. She would not know that I was watching her. So I was watching her. I always checked on her before, and she lied to me. And that was very hurtful to know. And I confronted her about it, and she stopped doing it. But she didn't know that I was watching her. And then she had the holy type of fear. And that holy type of fear was that if you lie to your mum, you know, her over there, which is a witch or a wizard, him over there, but it's usually a her, is going to come and take you away from your mum. Because God told me, and I told her, God told me that if you're a naughty girl and you choose to do bad things to make me unhappy and make you unhappy, God already told me that we are going to be separated in connection to her school. See her over there or her over there. So I did warn her. I don't know if people can see chairs there zoomed in at where the wizard had been stalking me on foot, had put some chairs near the chairs at the road, so they would, as white supremacist thugs, would go and boast that they could remove the road sign and the ancient road sign and the boundaries. They had no boundaries. They would say, we can change the road name and it's not your road. And so one chair was turned against the other. In other words, it's a dispute at the court cases, at the judge. So that was their indirect messages they would leave me, and would write on the actual footpath, pedestrian footpath. They would scatter rubbish or graffiti on the footpath that I walked on to take my daughter to school. And all types of engravement on the bench that would go rusty in connection to the last man who was a setup by the government to get me into trouble with the authorities. And so far they're winning. So who's going to be the trifle? Who's going to threaten my life? And it's always the far right government, or it's always the far left government. Here's the chair again. Let's zoom close up. At every bin in our local area, my name was written on it. My last word was written on it. They rubbished me. By the same slag, who apparently now has a daughter and lives next door to me. They've also drilled 4 or 5 dots or 6 dots into the ground, pavement, near where I live. They kept threatening my life. Here again at Snow, where it parked the car park, my car park that wasn't used. And how he has been writing in the bench to threaten me, threaten my life. They were mute, they couldn't communicate, so that's what they're teaching my daughter, these oppressors, evil thugs. They're teaching her not to communicate with me. Same devil that started all this, who is equivalent to the Bible in the King Babylon. Is it Babylon? Who has started all this. Mute spirit, unable to communicate. They've even had a garden here where we used to go and knock off the head of a statue. So it's antisocial behaviour. Another threat. They've this is a very long book that we had to study maths. Again, I'm just showing the evidence. Obviously, my daughter didn't know about this. I kept it private, but it was Play-Doh. So I sent them indirect messages to say, may God curse their genitalia with Play-Doh, because my garden had no fence and they kept harassing me. So this is where I used to live. It says Stewart's Lodge, Glenmore Gardens, Magnolia Avenue, Heather Close, Maple Leaf Close, Hawthorne Close in Abbots Langley. So I have sent indirect messages against these cursed individuals who are politically powerful to destroy my life. I've even put tomato ketchup and a doll, this is not a real baby, this is a doll's hat, onto a cursed tree to say that that's the cursed tree with the legs open wide. Look at that, legs opened wide. And against their evil babies. So those who have had an abortion and are no longer abortionists, in fact, are congratulated and protected more compared to those women who have never had an abortion and who had suffered for taking care of their children. So how is that those witches who have had an abortion and then they promised not to ever have abortion again are more congratulated compared to those who have never had an abortion and who have never done any witchcraft? So the woods that we were walking in that he was burning my clothes, he was burning me in the same woods. He also wrote engraved graffiti in the trees. Because I always opposed witchcraft. And God helped me to do it because my parents, my actual dad is some type of a magician where he walks on fire and he worships astrology and the occult. So I've always opposed witchcraft and abortion. So there's the cursed tree with to put a warning against them that God condemns their children because they've taken God's people's children away. My one and only. I don't have any more children. Next question that I had written in my diary. Is there anything you would like to change about my daughter? Is there anything that she would like to change about me? She wanted me to not be a single mum. She always wished and wanted me to remarry since I was age 5. She was age 5, I meant to say. And I couldn't because I needed to recover and I needed to have a new home and recover my health after being tortured. And it's non-stop 24/7 torture. So here's a garden without a fence. And we had that little opening there where drunk people can come in, break us, swing us, slide, and dismantle everything, and threaten my home, and destabilize everything, so we didn't feel like we were in a safe environment. This is this devil who would come and pull this out of the ground in our path to threaten us, which was very scary. I've also put a felt material that I cut out with mustard in it to say we must muster the war against the Scandinavians and all these blonde bimbos, men, women and children, because they have more political protections, not to be ever persecuted. Also the dead jaguar connection to killing Goliath. So the main Goliaths are my exes who call themselves my exes, even those that I haven't even had a relationship with, that have forced me to have a relationship with. It's the same as robbery and rape. Chalk is not gay. Graffiti in our footpath, that's taken from my mouth, that the devil had copied. So all adulterers are the same as LGBTQ, and I've said that. So is there anything you could change about me for my daughter? So for me, I've answered that question. For my daughter, it would be, what could I change about my daughter? I wouldn't want her to know that I had a divorce. Because actually I would have been better off if I didn't have a divorce. Because I could have just had a better opportunity then to claim against domestic abuse. But because I had a divorce, I'm worse off. That's what my daughter could have changed about me. That if I hadn't had a divorce, I would have been called a widow by now. Because I have worked efficiently, I have worked hard, and I'm being discredited for my hard work because I had a divorce. Hellmanes, rotten egg. Last one home is a rotten egg. Bad baby. There you go, the devil's baby. There you go. I've put gravy on a stinging nettle. So it's not only the blondes, it's also those with dark hair that are politically protected, covered not by the blood of Jesus, by the blood of the Lamb. So it's the power of human, evil human, versus the principle of doing what's right. Describe what you like about your mum and what I liked about my daughter. I like the fact that she just simply accepted, let your yes be yes and your no be no. She liked the routine. She didn't complain about the fact that we had a routine. She just accepted it. She didn't say, oh, I want to do something different, I'm bored, and she didn't complain. So that's what I liked about my daughter the most. Here is evidence of drunk people vomiting in my garden without offence, or on my footpath near my home. It could have been a pregnant woman who has had a miscarriage. I don't know. What were you most proud of about when I was at school? My daughter's question by the Spirit. My daughter's question by her spirit. What was I most proud of her at school? She enjoyed reading and writing. She actually enjoyed taking photographs. Snip, snip, snap, snap. Having her hair cut. And then she'd go to her school and show and tell. She had different hairstyles. So people were interested that we had different hairstyles to show and tell. I'm not a hairdresser, but I didn't always do a perfect job. Sometimes it looked like I've put a bucket on top of my head, or a bowl haircut. But I've done my best to. I'm proud of her for being proud of me in holy pride, not arrogance, to say, my mum did this, my mum did that, my mum made a cake, my mum did my hair, my mum and me, my mum and me, my mum and me. And I was proud of her the most, that she wasn't embarrassed of me, she loved me the most, she enjoyed my company. That the government has destroyed of that is as if they've put us both in an electrical chair to be executed because of this evil man. Oh, it's J. Julian Hall. That he engraved that, and I actually cut it to bits and pieces. I actually cut that tree because I hated the fact that he engraved his initials in there. So whatever had written to him as a pen friend, I found scattered all over the neighbourhood. That's not right. It's a beatitude. Bullshit. And then I stopped being his pen friend. Obviously, I wasn't ready to be engaged or to have a relationship with the opposite sex. For about 2 years after my divorce, and then I did for 3 months with Michael, and then I stopped because he was abusive, and he was a liar, and then I abstained. I mean, I only had sex with my daughter's dad. That was in 2005. And now it's 2023, so I abstained, not had contraception. I simply abstained from sex because my responsibility is to show my child I like her and I want to take care of her and protect her to my best ability, and I did that. So these are my favourite memories. Oh, here's the evidence that I cut that tree. I cut it because I didn't want to be reminded of what I've said in a disrespectful way. Bastard. Bullshit. There's the gate, and this is what he did when he had a nervous breakdown. Yeah, he wasn't taken off to the mental health. I didn't do anything like that. I just put a leek vegetable, that's my passion, to say I'm against their solicitors and their lawyers. Because he proposed marriage to me, to live with me, and for me to have his son. And I declined to give him my telephone number or to have a relationship with him. But I agreed to have a pen friendship. So he contacted lawyers and solicitors to cause trouble for me and to put me into the nut house, this evil man. And now he probably lives in Japan. He has freedom of travel and all sorts of freedoms, J. Julian. And I'm supposed to forgive him. He's the same as a concubine or a sideman. And so why should I end up going into the nut house for somebody else reading my diary, somebody else reading my letters that were addressed to him, somebody else reading my tests, because obviously I had to put his spirit to the test to see if he was the right one, not knowing that he was contacting the solicitors and the mental health services. So that's how they started on me. These demon spirits, and they're carrying on with their freedoms of travel, and they would spread this domestic abuse against a single mum. They would spread it on the internet, spread it in my local neighbourhood, in the whole world with the globalist government. So returning to the question, how did I survive? I mean, here's our footpath, my daughter walking, going to school, and then you've got this idiot who threatened rape and robbery, who actually didn't care that I was robbed and raped by my ex-husband through domestic abuse in my divorce. He didn't care. Instead, he sent his millennial son and his millennial daughter, who's obviously two or 3 decades younger than me, decades, or their associates, their enemies, and even their friends, looking at my personal life. It has nothing to do with them. I'm not in a relationship with this man. It's a platonic friendship. It's not a romantic relationship. It's not in my best interest. I'm not dating him. I've stopped. We only had like 1 or 2 kisses. And I said no, and he did not accept that no. He made the entire village turn against me, in my old neighbourhood, in my new neighbourhood, on the internet, and abroad through the globalist government. Look, there he is. He's written that he's not gay. I'm saying he is gay because he's an adulterer. I've put duct tape on there to say that he is gay. So where it says he's not, I've covered the not and said is gay. Because I didn't want the devil to have the first word and the last word, copying my insults, stealing my insults, and even stealing my compliments. Try to be friendly, forgiving, and loving my neighbour. For a very long time I endured this evil. which is illegal, and it's a crime, and it's violence against women. I forgave my enemy. I was friendly, living in peace with my enemy. Look at Israel. How is Israel living? Excuse me, these worst hypocrites. Are they living in peace with their neighbours? Palestine? Philistines? Evil pigs? They're not friendly with their neighbours, you hypocrite. How dare you call yourself a holy nation when you politicise the fact that we should forgive our enemies? I did forgive my enemy, but not to the point of death and kidnapping of my child through misinformation and lies. My daughter's flowers there. We regularly had flowers in a vase. My favourite memory of my daughter was her being at home and being an artist. She would enjoy that the most, and I would just sit there with gentle music, and my daughter would choose the music, and or have friends visit, and it was wonderful to just have friends visit, and it was wonderful to feel like in Star Wars I was like Princess Leia, not knowing that the good guy was the bad guy. In Star Wars, the bad guy is actually the good guy. Darth Vader's lot that is coming to attack the false religious thugs. And so there she is. Also, I enjoyed, these are my favourite memories of her first time seeing the sand and the beach on a coach trip. So art, travel on the coach trip, and visitors, where I would cook and just enjoy their company. My favourite time. The first words, a supernatural speech. My daughter said Ale Akumb, which is in Indian words. I think it says hello. I think it's something to do with India. So it's a demon spirit. Or it was my daughter, or it was the Holy Spirit speaking through a babe. She was only 3 months old. No, she was 1 month. She was only 1 month old baby. And she uttered these words, Ale Akum, they're her first words. It was not Mama, it was not Dada, it was Ale Akum, which it could be an angelic speaking in tongues. And I've kept that private and personal, but I don't know if it was demonic or if it was angelic from God. I don't know to this day. This was supposed to be my best friend, but sadly she is the bad guy who is the devil's false good guy. In other words, all the saints in the Bible that says we are there for Jesus, all the saints who are there that say we are there for God, could be the false good guy if it's stolen by the devil. So you have doubles. You have a double Jesus, you have a double Jacob, double Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have a double Adam. You have all them in doubles. Even in the time when Jesus was in the desert, tested in the desert, the devil will come and quote scriptures to Jesus because the devil knows the Bible so much. It claims that it's the owner, including the politicians in the far right extremism. So this is a fish that we liked, which was from China. Before my daughter was born, I wanted to, if she was a boy, I wanted to call her Cameron. But because I was always fascinated by the camera, I never used to like cameras and pictures. Her father chose the name, which is another thing I would want to change if I was involved with the government, is give the mother the option to choose the name, and give the option of making sure that the dad is out of the room when she's giving birth, that he doesn't have to stay in the room, because she's in so much pain and she doesn't want her husband to see him in so much pain during labour time. And the choice for the woman to give the name of the child. So the first child could be dad's, the second child could be mum's, to give the name to the birth child. The nickname I gave her was Ruby. Nickname as in the Ruby Jewel, or Juby, Jubilina, and also nickname, also a prayer name, so it's Elia Jubilina Palmuxida, a prayer name from her age newborn up to age 8, 9. Elia Jubilina Chichiboa Tigboa Palmuxida. So that was her prayer name. That was fulfilled in prayer. So Elia Jubilina Penny Palmuxida Rip Jazlia. So she ripped that evil witch Jezebel. Solatina Tigboa Horsoso Fizera. I mean, she enjoyed her. Fizera in Serbian means hairdresser. And Raksa Gigi Figs. Jelena in Serbian means green. So that was a prayer name and also her nickname. But her official name is Ellen Ripley, that her dad gave, which comes from an actress of the Alien movie. She enjoyed playing her music instruments. She enjoyed singing. We did clean our windows and keep our windows and kitchen clean and sink clean. The first thing that her dad said to her when she was born, it was full moon, and he said, "Oh no," he said, like this fish. There's no taxi service, so he had to walk home because I had to stay in hospital. I had a tear. Her head was too big, and I did not have a cesarean section, but I did have a tear. Her head was too big. She was a big baby. So I had a tear, and I had to stay in hospital. She did have a computer games on as well when she was age 6 here. Okay, so what else have I got here? How she looked like when she was born. She had fingernails that were purple in colour that looked like nail varnish. She had like purple lipstick on. She looked like the cutest baby I've ever seen. I loved so much I couldn't keep my eyes off of her when she was born. She just looked like a big pink jelly. And I love the pink skin. So I always gave her a cushion so that she was comfortable with whatever book she had or whatever she was writing, to make her comfortable on her sofa. The next question is her birth weight. I think she was 8 pounds. She was quite a heavy baby, and she was quite a big baby as well. Wow, amazing. I was extremely protective, and I had extra energy when my daughter was born, which is normal for a pregnant woman, and I was breastfeeding her until she was nearly 3 years old. And she was enjoying the picture here from a book that she was copying, Armadillo. Run to the hills, my love. How did you feel when you found out you were pregnant with me? The other question in my book. I was age 26. You were my miracle baby as a one-off sex. After I had a fallout with him because he didn't really want a baby, and he had a malignant, no cancer on his testicles. Radiotherapy had told the doctor that he was impotent and infertile, and he accused me of having an affair, which I never did, for about 4 years. That's another reason why I divorced him, because he assumed I was the same as his ex-wives. I was the third or fourth wife, plus 15 concubines, including a black woman he had sex with. I did not have sex with a black man. So God knows how I felt. My daughter was a miracle baby, but as for the father, it was a disaster marriage of 4 years. I did not regret having a baby and being a single mum. However, on the occasion that she was taken from me at age 9 and us being separated for about 10 years, could be 20 years, I regret having her because a stranger has turned my daughter against me and my ex-in-laws, being separated for 10 to 20 years. So it's as if I've never given birth, as if I don't have it, as if my daughter is dead to me. Did we have special music? She liked Mozart, baby Mozart. She liked all types of music, including Christian music, as children. In closing now, 1 hour and 20 minutes. We had lots of toys here. She had lots of toys. We had a duck fluffy, a poodle fluffy, a horse fluffy, a bear fluffy, an elephant fluffy, an ant fluffy, octopus fluffy, green cat, hamster, electrical hamster, and we also had a gizmo. We had a dinosaur toy, dinosaur masks and all types of animal masks, butterfly masks and butterfly wings, angel wings. We didn't have angel wings, we only had animal wings. And so all of these toys that we had, she's had dolls and all sorts. So the special music we had was during her birthday, and all her friends were around, which was 5th, 6th and 7th birthday, and then we went on holiday when she was 8 years old. She turned 9 years old. We had a new home. She enjoyed taking care of the fish for about 7-8 years in an aquarium. We had tetrafish. So this is also special, other than music, because they are out of the element. We also had special creatures. We took care of the wildlife, including a hedgehog and a bat we rescued. We cared for African snails for about 4 years, with giant snails. We had the 8 porridge. We loved touching a real owl and going to the petting zoo and other places where that took care of animals. She liked playing with all types of things, including natural things, such as amber necklaces as a teether. When I was my daughter's age, as a little girl, between 6, 7, 8 and 9, I had newspaper print clothing. I had a t-shirt that I used to wear often as a little girl. And I didn't actually like wearing cotton. I did like wearing pastel pink I liked fishnet clothes for bedtime. I like to have holes in my tights. When I was a little girl, or because it showed that I was climbing trees, and that was my challenge. So every time I had a hole in my tights or leggings, I was excited because I knew I was going to be told off. That was a bit weird, but that's how I was when I was a little girl, climbing trees, and my tights were always torn. I also had snake. I hated snakes, still do, but I did enjoy the snake print. With diamonds, like diamond shape. And I used to wear my mum's high heel shoes when I was a little girl, but I didn't know she was going to hit me over the head with it. This was age 6, 7, 8, and 9 when I was a little girl. But my daughter wasn't interested in the same thing. It was different for my daughter. She had different preferences. She liked fluffy clothes. She probably likes cotton. I didn't. I think her favourite colour was blue and purple. She probably likes silk. She probably likes flat shoes. But she loves snakes. I hate snakes. So we're the opposite. That's how I close my video now, looking at the diary questions. Until next time, which I hope will be this time next weekend.